Within 10 years, most of the fiat money in the world today is going to be worthless, because we're at a point now where the printing of of fiat by the major central banks, whether it's the Fed, the ECB, Bank of England, Bank of Japan, has gone into hyperbolic kind of mania. And that's all going to Venezuela. In other words, Venezuela is the role model for countries like the United States and others who are just hyperbolically printing absolutely out of control. So Bitcoin in those terms is literally has an infinite price target.
All right, I'm going to rewind and focus on what you said there. Clearly, we are seeing unprecedented money printing stimulus, not just here in the US, around the world. Here in the US, we do have inflation at a 40-year high. But you're trying to tell me that you believe that in 10 years' time, we will see the end of fiat currency in a decade's time?
Well, I'd rather be a couple of years too early than one day too late. What we know, Michelle, is that over 300 years, not a single fiat money has escaped insolvency and losing either 100% or 99% of its value. That's the track record fiat money has for the past 300 years. None have escaped going to zero. So why would you bet that suddenly that 300-year trend is going to somehow change course? And I think over the next 10 years, as you see these economies, these major economies like the US and China, who are carrying debt loads 300% to GDP, suddenly hit the breakers, and they're going to just try to print their way out of all this. And so we're talking about a fiat money apocalypse.
Look, to your point, mankind has debased every fiat currency since the beginning of fiat currencies. I mean, there was a time when the Portuguese escudo used to be the global reserve currency. So I hear that trend, and it makes sense on a fundamental level, but it's your timeline that I'm somewhat questioning here.
Well, like I said, I'd rather be cautious and load up on as much Bitcoin as I possibly can now and not try to play games on the timing side. What I do know for sure is that these fiat money, all this currency is going to go to zero.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information, and it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
You know, the reason why Bitcoin is already in the tens of thousands of dollars per coin is that all of the major fiat money in the world is right now in a hyperinflationary collapse against Bitcoin. That's already happening right now. The dollar, the yen, yuan, they're all in a hyperinflationary collapse against Bitcoin right now. And that trend is going to continue.
And yet we haven't seen that reflected so far in the price of Bitcoin.
Yes.
Considering...
Well, how do you think you got to Bitcoin at 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 a coin?
Well, I mean, the recent decline.
The fiat money is collapsing in a hyperinflationary collapse. The purchasing power of the fiat money versus Bitcoin is collapsing. And that's why the price of Bitcoin is where it's at today. It's discounting the fact that paper money is already collapsing right now versus Bitcoin. And when a country like El Salvador makes Bitcoin legal tender, it means now you've got a country that's got the ability to give its citizens unconfiscatable wealth, uncensorable wealth, and divorce itself from the fiat money world, the IMF and these other institutions that have been really draconian in their application of loan extractions and everything that comes with it. And right. So this is the beginning of a new era, and that's going to spread. So when you have the domino effect and you have this region, like Argentina is now going down the path of hyper-Bitcoinization, all these countries in Africa are becoming hyper-Bitcoinized. So when that hyper-Bitcoinization wave starts to go global, that puts enormous pressure on the dollar. On the geopolitical front, you've now got Russia, China, Iran. They're dumping the dollar, right? So there's nobody supporting the dollar on those in those countries. So the dollar's at a genuine risk of of collapsing outright here. And 10 years is a long time in geopolitical terms. And when you've got something like Bitcoin, who's been appreciating at over 100% a year for more than 11 years, it's been the best performing asset in 11 years, and that's set to continue for the next 10, 20 years. When you add all that together, you come up with an enormously higher price for Bitcoin. You see paper money trading down to levels like Venezuela, and you see a different world where those that were in charge of the global financial system are no longer in charge.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race. You're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dahn, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dahn.